Chinese people lack manners. A further look by China Insider with David Zhang. If I upload this one, I'll be called a racist again. I can feel it. Is she just beating this old Chinese dude? That's wild.
This Chinese woman in Japan is rudely yelling at the Japanese man next to her, continuously landing slaps on him. It's unclear what triggered her. Afterwards, she's seen playing an audio message
Wait, Chinese woman hitting Chinese man.
In Chinese. And later, she teaches her child that if someone hits you, you hit them back. And the sad part is, the Japanese man and every other passenger seems very calm in the situation. The only person overreacting is her. Today we're going to continue to explore Chinese people's mannerism and why they seem so rude and out of place whenever you see them. The big theme today is, who cares about other people? This man finished his bowl of noodles, then proceeded to dump the bottle of vinegar into his bowl, which obviously was meant for other people as well. He then threw the napkins and everything else in there. Then he left. So he took the extra effort to make sure that this...
What is this? Johnny Somali? Same energy.
This was a trouble for the staff to clean up and to waste more than it was needed to be wasted, just spending more effort out of the way to do this. Like, that alone takes more effort than actually just leaving.
The first time I said Chinese man, the second time I said Japanese man. Maybe it sounds muffled because of the mic, I don't know.
After you're done. People that eat at train stations or airports, dropping the shells all over the floor. This woman is stealing a slab of ribs as the vendor is...
I don't know. This is also things. These are also things that happen in Germany. So, I don't know if I would call specifically a China thing.
Is busy helping others.
Yeah, she really just stole that.
And before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already, as we release 2 to 3 videos like this exploring China's social issues every single week. So make sure to turn on your notifications.
If you have like enough problems in China that you can turn it into like videos for months and months. Bro is farming China. Hopefully he's not on a list. If he's on, he's definitely on a list. He's definitely banned from going there.
And never miss one of our new videos. Also, if you're looking to support the channel, consider checking out our donation link in the description. It will be tax deductible as we work with a 501c3 nonprofit for charity. And so if you're looking to support the channel, consider checking out the link in the description. All right, let's go back to the video. This woman peeled all of the inedible shells of a bamboo shoot so that they could be weighed less and she could get more for the same price. Clearly, the store isn't selling them unpeeled. Otherwise, it will be marked as such. Manners, shall I say, are...
So she peeled the stuff in the store. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before. That's a new one.
I guess a mythical creature in China. Obviously, we know a lot of this is because of personal gains and whatever it takes to get there. But today I want to explore some of the reasons why it seems like it's almost the population is so stuck on fighting over the smaller gains. The first big reason is national brainwashing, and based on the video we saw with the Japanese train passengers, when this is projected outwards in terms of mannerism, you'll find that if you especially talk to the more aggressive believers of the CCP, is that they think the country's got their back. And more than ever, I think this is permeated throughout, the use of propaganda, movies, education materials, etc. The reality is far from that, obviously, but this is one of my favorite videos.
Who are they screaming at, though? Who are they screaming at that to go back to China? The dude in the blue stuff? Can't be. Focus on my death list. Damn. Damn. I see how it is. Huh?
This is in the Riyadh King Khalid International Airport in Saudi Arabia. A group of Chinese tourists began chanting, "Go back to China," repeatedly. This is a classic example of what they're told to believe is that China's got their back. Now, obviously, aside from the awkward English misuse here, which obviously derogatory if they know what it means, go back to China, it's not a good thing, right? But their idea is that they're trying to protest because their plane's delayed, that they want to go back to their home country, right? It's supposed to be, in their view, a proud thing to do, a display of, the sovereignty of China outside of China, that they're able to do this, right? Because the country's got their back. But to be honest, I don't think there's another population that firmly believes that their country's got their back. I think even the most
If you genuinely believe that your own country has your back, you are very much delusional. Now, I don't know if that's really the case with these people specifically, but there's people that believe that, and yeah, no, your country does not have your back, wherever you come from. It doesn't. I'm not a big fan of the government. I'm on the best boy list, true.
most well-respected governments in the world, which not many are, people don't believe that the government's got their back 100%. In fact, I think a lot of people today believes that the government is against them. 撑腰, which is a Chinese term for, literally it translates to holding your back, which is specifically the lower back, because that's what the anatomy does, is your lower back portion, your core holds you up, right? So the idea is that we've got the country to 撑腰 us, meaning the country's got literally our back. We know that the CCP is never there for their people. In fact, they hate their people. That's why they're persecuting them. I always love the Japanese cherry blossom videos because it shows that at the core of it, these people lack the respect for other people. They just want to shake the tree so that the petals fall down and they...
That is disrespectful, but can we see that this is Chinese tourists? Well, it does say that, so I guess that if I believe this video, then that is very disrespectful. However, there's also a lot of other people that are disrespectful. Like those Tory gates, people grab those and do pull-ups on them and stuff. That also exists.
They get their beautiful video. And even if things go south, right, they think that the government, the embassy is going to got their back. And there's no talks of appreciation for the broader beautiful scenery, the environment, and all those talks. Largely, this is also reflected in the CCP's leadership. Internationally, you see that they also lack mannerism when it comes to relationship with other countries. They take on an aggressive, thuggish sort of view. And so when the government is doing this, what do you think the people is going to be doing? The second big reason is this constant seeking of material gains over others. Food is a big one.
That is freaking greedy, man. That is very greedy. Ew. But it kind of makes sense when the food apparently is that terrible and yeah, there's a lack of access to food, so it kind of makes sense as far as I've heard. I don't know. What the fuck? What the fuck? Bro said, if y'all are this greedy, I'ma eat it myself. uh... Fuck. Did he just waste all of that? What? Why throw it into a bucket? Is it really that difficult to come by, like, with food in China? Because that is horrendous. Remember that that has nothing to do just with like culture and being like having bad manners. This is a availability issue in this case. Because normal people don't act like that when it comes to food.
These videos highlight a common aspect, which is that food security is obviously a bigger problem in China. It's more prominent in the countryside than it is in the city, but it got to a point because a generation of people were starved, literally because the CCP created the famine, a 3-year Great Famine in the 50s. That caused that generation to believe that an abundance of food is what creates stability and security. So you might even, you can test this out, see if it works. If you've got like Chinese coworkers, mainland Chinese coworkers, or you got friends from China, you can go ask them if their parents or grandparents store food. We're not talking about canned food, but we're talking about like bags of rice, dry goods, things like that. Or that when they do buy things, they like to store certain things for backup in case something happens, right? It's a constant fear for food security. In my experience, in the
I feel like they turn into a fish. What? I mean, they eat everything, so I don't know.
West, when I went to others' families, there you might even see empty shelves, right? You might think, well, what happens when they run out of food? Well, I guess the idea is that they go buy it because they haven't experienced that kind of hunger. So this isn't uniquely a Chinese problem. Any country that has had a famine or is going through a food shortage will probably act this way as well. So this is a human instinct, right? But what happens when you have a government that preaches this idea that you have to struggle against each other? Well, China is a great example of that because people want to gain over others. If there was actually a food shortage, you would not have people who would voluntarily give up food.
Yeah, it's food. Um, in other, it's monetarily stuff. Like here in Germany, a lot of like a similar energy comes from grades, like pitting students at each other to like fight for grades. But I think that's just a general issue in the education system.
Food to others, you would probably, within the family obviously, but stranger wise or neighbors, you will see them keep it for themselves because they know the consequence of giving up food is so great and so devastating. But then you also see how did it kind of evolve into this fighting for food at the table? Because now you're talking about buffets and you're talking about a large feast, and yet people are still fighting over food. Again, this is where it shifts from that argument that this is caused by a food shortage to this is now because they want to gain over others. Because we're talking about free food giveaways, and we're talking about
It depends, right? Because The previous generation struggled so much with food that they taught the next generation to fight for food. So this has become a generational issue. It may have something to do with greed. Sure, that might be a part of it, but I don't know 100%. How are you guys? Tired? A little lonely? But surviving. Surviving.
Large feasts where, there's enough food for everyone, but because, maybe this one dish is better than others, maybe it's lobsters or shrimps or seafood, that's obviously expensive. You want to have more for yourself. Now, I'll play these videos simultaneously and to side by side show you that this has happened in various different cities when they were hosting Dragon Boat Festival activities. This was in June of this year. So the ladies took the opportunity to pocket or to grab as much ingredients for the glutinous rice balls, which is a festive dish that you make during Dragon Boat Festival.
But you can see that this isn't necessarily the younger generation. This is a lot of older people doing this.
Much as possible. Selfishness is quite common in China, and for a generation that was raised on public ownership by Mao Zedong, right? Everything is owned by everybody. They're the most selfish people ever because they've learned growing up that public ownership is not a real thing. Because there's no, like, you cannot just publicly own something without somebody start to mix in their selfishness, and eventually everybody becomes selfish. And because that's just how things work. That's why private ownership is a more practical reality, because what you own is yours, and when you steal from others, that's illegal. Now, young people aren't so innocent. In this video, this woman ordered takeout, and after it was delivered, the woman starts to ask for a refund with the delivery platform. The delivery man later came back to question her because he was fined 100 yuan. Now, the delivery man came back and asked why she wanted a refund after receiving the food. She says, you can go to customer service of the platform yourself. And then the delivery man then says, if you don't apply for a refund, the platform won't refund you. In other words, it means you did apply for this. Even though you're not eating the food, why are you doing this? If you really just wanted a free...
Well, that is really just straight up greed, right? Ordering food and then asking for a refund. And then the delivery guy getting fined, apparently. That is clearly greed.
Free meal, the delivery man says, I can treat you to that. You don't have to make the platform fine me for something I didn't do wrong. So this is really my ick with this whole idea that capitalism is bad in the sense that, oh, it creates greed and corruption. Well, most capitalist societies are the ones that are most charitable. And
the thing with communism is that it really doesn't work because it tries to eliminate greed. But this is a clear sign that you can't eliminate greed because then you have to stoop to immoral practices to gain more. That's just human nature. That's just how it is. At least for capitalism, it tries to use people's greed. So for the public good. So there's that.
The fact that they give back more when they have money, whereas the ones who are built on socialism and communism are the ones that I've observed to be the most selfish and the most or the least charitable. You also have other areas that make people lose their dignity. Free clothing, for example. As winter comes, people in China, like live streamers, are doing giveaways of down jackets. This happened on December 7th. A live streamer did a jacket charity event that was supposed to be for those in need of winter clothes, like students with financial troubles or recently unemployed young people. What ended up happening is that a lot of people came to take advantage of the situation. One internet user said that he went...
That's a field poker. I'm glad I found Croc to have as my brother. Okay, cool. It's greed, part of human nature. That and gluttony. Yup. Gluttony. At least for the food part.
There with unemployment letters and found that many people were wearing down jackets already. And some of them were holding iPhone 16s. And so he felt disappointed because people who are able to afford it are still asking for free things. You also have people pointing out that people were wearing like North Face jacket, was a very popular brand in China as well. You have people that saw that someone had a down jacket on with a Louis Vuitton bag that they were wearing. So these
So you have enough money to get a Louis Vuitton bag, and you're already wearing a jacket, but you still come there to get another jacket. Buddy, you okay? Like, you freaking okay?
Are not people who can't afford to get a down jacket. And this video here shows another giveaway, also a live streamer who's giving away winter jackets for workers, construction workers, people who work outside during winter. But that also went south because they were swarmed by the people who didn't line up, who were cutting in lines trying to grab things. So essentially they were workers, but they didn't behave like they needed this for charity. Some of them didn't get it. They started to curse at them. And just in general, it's just turns really bad.
现在不发都挨骂了。你看门口，你看围着车骂我，现在都围着车，我走不了了，好不好？咱们注意安全，好吧？我们走了啊，走了。
It derails the event's nature from charity to some disappointments. And you really have to reevaluate how things are assessed when a society is willing to give up some moral and ethical restraint to focus on small material gains, like a free jacket or some food, that they're showing that, you know,
There's almost nothing. I would say there's pretty much almost nothing that makes me throw away my morals. For example, money. No. My morals are very important. Like, there's not much that you could do. But I'm also very, very strong at that department, so I can't tell. Maybe there's something that could make me, like, there's some things, but like other things that could make me that I don't know about. I really want to go to China, but on second thought, maybe not. No. For food, definitely not.
The savage-like behavior shown during such a small thing. I think that defines the societal standards. I think that defines the ethical side of things. It's no wonder China has things like forced organ harvesting, you know, a large amount of kidnapping and just indiscriminate rampages that happen, because they have shown us that they're...
Let me rewind that quick. Did I understand kidnapping?
Or some food, that they're showing that, you know, it's the savage-like behavior shown during such a small thing. I think that defines the societal standards. I think that defines the ethical side of things. It's no wonder China has things like forced organ harvesting, you know, a large amount of kidnapping and just...
Organ harvesting. Kidnapping. Oh, hey. No. I tried to see the positive light of China. I guess it's impossible to avoid seeing negative situations in China. Probably is. But at the same time, you see a lot of negative shit all around everywhere as well.
Indiscriminate rampages that happen because they have shown us that they're void of these smaller things on the ethical front. And that's purely reflected in their smaller actions. Because what you notice is that these things are not some very occasional encounter at a high society bar, but these are everyday things that happen before people's eyes, on the market, you know, in train stations, or in a school setting, or just somewhere on the streets. People in China feel like all they care about is survival. When people only look forward to the lowest of lowest survival points that they have to meet, like food, shelter, and clothing, that's when you realize that there's something wrong. And the government, obviously, the CCP deliberately does this so that they can control this mass of people. You know, 1 billion people, they need some ways to keep them under control. And if you're giving them all of the things that they need, like food, shelter, security, then they start thinking about the ideological stuff, right? That's what happened with 1989 Tiananmen Square.
He isn't wrong. If I'm always concerned about my own survival, that makes me not want to think about society. We can see this, for example. We see this, for example, when people like want others to fight for the climate. At the same time, most people just don't have have different problems. Like surviving. For example, here in Germany, that's a lot of the time a problem where like people have to first secure their own lives because they can think of like the environment or societal issues. Here here in this case it's the same.
That's it's students who started to gain those basic needs. They've met them. Then what do they start thinking about? Democracies, change, right? They want to improve their intellectual levels and ideological thinking started to pop up. So when you have people fed, that's when things go wrong for an authoritarian regime. Transportation and travel, big ones too. These people decided to crawl under the subway turnstile rather than paying. This obviously includes cutting in lines at events. This mother-daughter duo were famous this year for cutting in line at a scenic area and acting all justified about their actions. There were even stickers made of their faces.
The fact that you're so disrespectful that they turn you into stickers is wild.
You got people dancing at the airport, music so loud that other people can obviously hear them, and it's just not respectful. And this happens pretty often. Older people demand seatings. Obviously, they're older. Yeah, if you're willing to give up your seat, then it's fine. You're a nice person. But there's no law or any social norm that dictates you have to do this. But they feel entitled, and they have to get their seat.
I always give up. I always give up my seat if I can. Like sometimes it's just like, no, there's no people around. Like when it's dudes, I don't do that. But when it's like an old lady or somebody who has to carry a lot of stuff, or just a girl in general, I like to give up my seat here and there.
Otherwise, they start beating them up or verbally abusing the person, demanding on planes that they have the window seats from random passengers, or take up a bunch of seats in the middle because they're sick. While inside China, they're fighting for the smallest gains, and outside of China, they still act as these champions or crusaders of the CCP. I think the irony is that they're eternally obsessed with the smallest gains, not realizing that they're being played, where they still seem to foolishly act out in the ways that they're protecting the country outside. So the mannerism of Chinese people is really a concept of a sad reality, and that is they're being played themselves without realizing it. All right, that's it today for the episode continuing to explore the time.
So this video summarized pretty much is Chinese people lack mannerism because the government creates a sort of what is the word? A lack of food, a lack of abundance